everyone. This is Alicia Nightingale with Gorge Realty Group, Windermere Real Estate, Columbia River Gorge. I'm sitting here with August Jensen here in Hood River. August Jensen is a local counselor in our community, and during these crazy 2020 times, I think it's just so important to discuss mental well-being and how to feel safe, happy, and healthy. So I wanted to share with you someone in our community that does that. August?
Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
Pretty good.
So great.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So happy to have you. August, I'd love to just hear more about what brought you to the Gorge in the first place.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long story, but I actually moved to Trout Lake from Portland. And I moved there actually because my mother received a terminal cancer diagnosis.
Oh, gosh.
Stage 4 breast cancer. And so we moved in with her to provide end-of-life care for the last about 12 months of her life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's probably pretty hard, but also special to be there.
Oh,
with
yeah.
her.
Yeah. So our son was born while we were living there. And then about 8 months later, my mom passed away. So we were kind of quite literally living in birth and death.
Yeah.
That's what brought us to Trout Lake and the Gorge. And once my mom passed, we just decided, well, this is a wonderful place. Let's just make it happen. So we decided to we kind of planted in Trout Lake, and then I opened my practice here in Hood River shortly after that.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
great. So your practice, I have a little bit of experience with counseling myself, but I'm wondering, what is your practice like, and is it different than others out there?
It's quite a bit different. I went to school in Boulder, Colorado at a Buddhist contemplative university called Naropa, and it was founded by a Tibetan monk. Came over from Tibet and started this school, and that was back in the 60s and 70s. And so it's a traditional psychotherapy, kind of Western psychology education that kind of fits the requirements of state licensure and stuff like that. But it adds in a contemplative piece, the Eastern practice of mindfulness meditation, as is taught in Buddhist practice. And so, both my training and experience as a therapist heavily involves meditation, as well as Eastern psychology and Buddhist philosophy. So my approach to psychotherapy is very much a blend of East and West psychology. And that's, I think, while it's catching on quite a bit more kind of in the psychology world, it's still very much not a mainstream approach. So it's a bit different, although, as you are aware, mindfulness-based therapy is becoming a very widespread approach and is taught in many, many different modalities, therapeutic modalities. So while mindfulness has become certainly mainstream, a lot of the approach it's been kind of watered down a bit, so we talk about mindfulness, but often outside of the context of kind of where the practice comes from. And it's from the Buddhist practice of meditation that's been taught for 2,600 years. Mm-hmm. So my approach integrates a little bit more of Buddhist psychology, and not just the mindfulness practice of, placing our awareness on our breath. So I'd say that's why mine's a little bit different, though not too fringe, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know that for me, it was a bit scary to take the dive into counseling and put my mental well-being as a priority. Is there any advice or just words of wisdom you can provide for people who are just thinking about it, but maybe are a little scared to take that plunge, how they can maybe dip a toe, or not sure what the question is, but yeah.
Well, just to say that whether you're beginning psychotherapy for the first time, or if you're picking it up again after having done it and then stopped for a bit, it's a huge deal. And it continues to be a huge deal even when you're still in therapy and committed to going. It doesn't necessarily become an easy thing, though it certainly can be a very joyful experience. It's a big deal. So just to say it is, everyone arrives in their own way. There's no right or wrong time to approach therapy. So even just considering going to therapy, you could do that for a couple years, and that's the beginning of your therapy, is just even thinking about going. I would say that it is a scary thing. It's kind of known that you're going to have a look at maybe some things that are painful, that are scary, difficult emotions. You might explore previous experiences in life that were quite difficult. You might explore current experiences in life that are difficult. I mean, look at how we're all living right now. It's a huge deal, and it's not to be minimized. And I would say, I don't know every counselor and therapist out there, but I do know that each one of us is committed to welcoming and encouraging and inviting people in a way that's safe and good, right? So it's okay that it's scary and difficult, right? I think most therapists are very committed to knowing empathy in themselves, creating a safe space for everything to be here, all parts, whether we like them or not. So I just say, go for it. I also think it's just, it's very rare that people have a really bad experience in therapy. Though it can certainly happen, it's rare. I think the chances are you're going to have a wonderful experience. And I would say the most important thing is to shop around for a therapist.
Oh, tell me more about how someone would do that.
Well, just look up who's in the area, and just scan around and see who's who, and just let yourself go, oh, that person looks good, I like their approach, and see if you can meet them and do a consultation in person or over the phone for 15 or 20 minutes, and do that with a couple people. Let it be a really, like, the therapeutic relationship is the most important thing. Above all, whether it's meditation or mindfulness or cognitive, or transpersonal, all of that stuff is really not as important as the relationship itself. So whether or not you feel good with the therapist or your potential therapist, check that out. Meet with someone and take a few days to decide, does that feel good? Do I like that person? Did I feel safe? Did I feel welcomed? Or did something bring up a little bit too much that I didn't like? So shop around so that it is good for you. I think that can have a huge, just a huge effect on whether it's successful or not.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice. I know I've chatted with some of my girlfriends who've considered going into therapy of some sort, and they've had maybe not the best relationship with the first person they tried to go to, and then they were forever deterred. And they just have not kind of jumped back on the horse, which I think is perfectly fair. But I really appreciate that approach of kind of interviewing your therapist like you would interview your real estate agent, like you'd interview an attorney. Just doing that research, I really think that's cool. You don't have to settle with the first person you talk to. Yeah. So I think that there's maybe some confusion around how therapy can be billed. At least I know some of my girlfriends have had just confusion around that. Does everyone take insurance, or what does that look like in this area maybe?